Tell us, why did you start Success Insider?
Well, as you know, it all started kind of as a accident, synchronistic moment. I was sent abroad by Leo, who was soon to be investor at the time, as well as this guy in his late 70s with so much energy, more than freaking like young people I know. And so he's a very impressive guy. He sent me abroad to this business conference, and there were so many inspiring people there. I came across for the first time these people who were speaking on a camera, selfie camera, and they were speaking to inspire. And as I began to listen to what they're saying, I realized I've wanted to share that sort of message. But then my little voice said, hey, I'm not good enough. I don't know how to speak. I'm an introvert. First time in my life, I chose faith over fear. I thought, you know what? Let me challenge myself, create a little channel called Success Insider. And as soon as I cycled home from work, working with Leo, I would prop this tiny little bed lamp, orange lamp, because we couldn't afford the studio like this. And I would film this video, a sweaty face and all sorts. It's a mess. But I began to upload videos on Success Insider, as you know. Yeah.
Well, I know that it wasn't an easy journey. I've seen all of it. But
Yeah.
Have you ever wanted to quit? Have you ever thought, you know what, this is not for me. This is not worth the time, the effort, all of that. Have you ever thought about quitting?
Well, of course, like, truth is, especially because I was an introvert, sometimes it took me like 8 hours of retakes for me to post one 5-minute video on YouTube. And my little voice was saying, oh, I'm not cut out for this. Extroverts can speak like that. They got confidence. They didn't have anxiety like me. They didn't have doubts like me. So for the first couple of years, all I wanted to do was give up because I saw 0 results. So yeah.
So I know for sure that for you, this isn't a career. I don't think you ever referred to Success Insider as your career. I know it's a purpose. It's a calling. It's a mission. What does it mean to you deeply?
Well, I refer it to as a calling because I turned down a career for this calling. Because shortly after me posting these random videos with me sweaty faced and a tiny bed lamp on me, like, it was a mess of a video. But shortly after all of those moments, I wanted to quit. There was this one moment when it was late noon. I was going home after a personal development seminar, having attended it. And I was checking my phone, and we'd be lucky to see 2 comments on a video in one day. That would be like a big day, right? But I saw like 54 notifications from YouTube, 54 comments. And as I opened up that video that early in the day had around 568 views. As I opened it up, that video was showing around 40,000 views. And I thought I'd been hacked because I was just like, what's happening? And as I was going home, I'm refreshing this page, and by the time I got home, it's like over 100,000 views. And of course, we stayed up that night because this was crazy, because that video was going viral. And this was before going viral was like common. Back then, because in that week, we ended up getting 1 million views. Back then, getting 1 million views on the YouTube video was so rare because there wasn't many people on that platform. So that's what ended up happening. And I ended up writing one of the tough emails to Leo saying I turned down that huge financial check he wanted to write me for the brain health supplement company that I'd been working so hard to get as an investment. I said, I turned down that check. I turned down the job. I turned down my entire career. And I said, I'm going to go towards this calling, not knowing what was about to happen. This is a calling for me. Yeah.
Yeah. In LMA and Success Insider, we all know you are the visionary, and LMA, where it is now, and the community is great. But you always say you don't come this far to only come this far. And I know that, this is just the beginning of the journey for, LMA, Success Insider, and for you. So what is that bigger mission? What is that bigger vision that you have, and why it still keeps you up at night?
Well, the ultimate vision of Success Insider is, before my time is up, before all of our time is up, is to have positively impacted the lives of 1 billion people. And the reason why that's important to me is because that signifies not just a number, but that signifies evolution. Evolution in terms of the quality of the education that we're providing, as well as evolution in terms of the team, in terms of who I've become in that process. And that signifies for me, that's dying empty for me, as in a great way, dying like fulfilled, dying having left a mark in this world. I think that's the ultimate vision of it all. In terms of the mission of how we're going to get there, is representing, embodying our values that we represent as a Success Insider team, as well as our community. I think what's our community members have always said about us, what makes us different from every other brand out there is I'm still a student at heart. And I'll never forget that. You know, as long as I live, I'm always going to be part of this community because I'm not perfect. You know, I've got messes, I've got traumas that I'm still healing, I've got limiting beliefs and so forth. Sometimes I procrastinate, I delay. So this is why I think as long as we embody that and we grow together as a community, it's beautiful. Because this is what Success Inside is all about. It's not about following me as the leader, it's about following themselves. Like, we are our own leaders. And Success Inside really is just a mirror showing us who we can be and us leading our own lives. That way, you know, our family can follow in our footsteps. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you know, they say your vibe attracts your tribe, and I feel like your vibe really attracted many people that, you know, do feel like they're part of this journey together, that they truly belong. Maybe for the first time of their lives, they truly found the home and the heart where they truly feel understood, seen, respected, and loved, most importantly.
Yeah, and I guess, well, firstly, we're all crazy in here, so definitely the vibe attracted the tribe, and we're quite weird as well. But in all seriousness, we are so different, and I realized we are different from the masses out there, and I realized that from young. I grew up realizing, why am I in a crowd of people but feel so alone at the same time? And it only got worse when I was flown over to a foreign country, growing up now looking different as well, on top of thinking different. I guess all throughout my life, I realized I was different and I didn't like myself for it. Little did I know, there are people out there who's also different. And I find that's the most important people to surround yourself with. And I find this is what our LMA community, the communities we built, WCAs, the QLAs, the family, this is what we are at heart. You know, we're all different. We are the ones who can truly change the world. It was one of the world-class achievers who once said, never underestimate the power of a small group's ability to change the world, because they're the only ones who actually have. And deep down, we're going to change the world. Not just in terms of, I'm not just talking about big things, because not everyone's got big goals, but we're going to change our world. We're going to change our family as a result of us going for it in this lifetime. So yeah.
So to wrap this up, what would be one message that you would like to leave all the family members with? The people that have been, you know, around for, I don't even know how many years, that started from the first YouTube video to the people that maybe enrolled earlier this morning. What would be your one message to all of them that are watching this right now?
Well, I guess the most important thing is remembering what I remind myself often, especially if I'm ever down. Possibilities begin with one. If you look at, for example, history, what's made history, what's changed things for our people, is that one person that decided to speak up. Rosa Parks, for example. That one person that decided to take that first step on the moon. That one person that decided, you know what, I'm not going to be defied by my circumstance. I'm going to defy my circumstance. I'm going to overcome all odds. Is that one person that began to change things. And it's about us accepting that this calling that we have to be this one is never going to quit. And if we numb ourselves and say, oh no, I'm not going to be that one, you will often go to sleep realizing there's something a little bit off. You begin to try to numb it using drugs, using alcohol, using whatever. You try to even be grateful about life, but something deep down will be nudging you saying, hey, you're meant for more. Because deep down, I believe what we've been called for is to be that one who can change things for our family, most importantly, the family tree we represent. Because chances are, I've noticed the limiting beliefs I have, it's not my limiting belief, it's my family tree's limiting belief. And I realize I've got to be that one that's going to change this lineage. Because if it's not you, then who? Chances are it's not going to be anyone. Yeah. So this is why we got to accept that this is the higher calling for us. We got to keep training ourselves on board these courses, the LMAs, the WCAs, because we have to be that different one. And so how can we do that? Well, it starts with us realizing, do the reverse and you'll end the generational curse. And number two, it starts by realizing you cannot break the curse if you're seeking approval from those who are cursed. If deep down we are wanting them to validate our actions of why we're investing ourselves, why we're playing it bigger, then we're going to be cursed. Simply as that. they're not going to understand you. They're never going to understand why we're that crazy. And that's the whole point. But you know, with every hero's journey, there's a part of that hero's journey where everyone is saying, why are you doing this? But towards the end of the hero's journey, everyone's like, thank you for doing this. So one day they'll be thanking us. They're not going to understand us at the start, but they'll be thanking us one day. So this is why it's important we keep surrounding ourselves with the people, you know, who are going the same direction, which is, of course, welcome home. This is the community. We're all going there. And I want to die close to home, which is our highest potential.